What's up, Scrappy peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and I've got one of my favourite layouts that I've made this year to share with you. It's a 8.5 by 11, and it's part of my 2018 album. This is when I was finishing off last year's album. I don't know what it is about it. I think it might be the contrast between the painted mixed media paper and the background, or the photo itself. I don't know what it is, but I really like how this one turned out. I didn't have any direction when I went into this one, except that I wanted to use this little offcut of paper. If you're one of my Patreon peeps, you'll probably recognize this little scrap of paper from a layout that I made earlier in the year. I made a layout documenting a photo of month of Archie's first year, and this was one of the offcuts that I had, and I didn't throw it away because it took a really long time to make and dry, because I used texture paste. And if you're an impatient person like I am, anything that you make with texture paste is precious, just because of the wait time in that it takes a while to dry off. So to make that paper, I used some basil marshmallow cardstock and a confetti stencil, I'm pretty sure from Flutterby Designs, and some acrylic inks. So then, to make my photo stand out a little bit, it definitely needed a white border. And I know it would be easier to print my photos with a white border, but I don't, for a couple of reasons. I don't because I feel like I often cut off important parts of the photo if I add a white border beforehand. B, sometimes I like to cut my photo smaller. So for here, this isn't a 4x6 anymore. I did end up cutting it a little bit smaller. And if it already had the white border on it, I would have lost it and had to cut around it and mat it again anyway. So I just tend to do that afterwards. And I don't always mat my photos, but a lot of the time I do. So then I'm using some tissue paper just to add another little bit of textury goodness. And I grabbed this piece of vellum. Now, printed vellum and I have a bit of a love-hate relationship. Does anyone else feel the same about vellum? I just wish it was easier to adhere to stuff. I know there's a special vellum tape, I'm pretty sure, that you can use that means that it isn't able to be see-through of the vellum. But I was sticking this on top of very bumpy textured background, and I needed to use some wet glue, and it curled up, and it was a little bit of a kerfuffle. I used glossy accents mainly because my normal wet glue at this point I had run out, and so it was the only wet glue that I had on hand, and I had to pause the camera and hold this for a solid 10 minutes to make it all stick, and then I had to add extra bits of glue. I saved you from watching all of that debacle, but it did take quite a while for the vellum to stick to that background, and it did wrinkle it a little bit. So whenever I do use vellum, I try to have a large piece of something opaque stuck over the top, like this photo, or a large embellishment, something that can help hide my adhesive. So then I needed to start working on my title next after I fought with the vellum. And I've had these wooden words from Cocoa Vanilla hanging around for quite a while. And you would have seen in several layouts this year that I've been obsessed with painting my wood veneer with Posca paint pens. And it's a great way to customize wood veneer to suit the colors of your layout, or even your art journal page or mixed media canvas. And you can make it whatever color you like. And if you add some glossy accents over the top, which if you haven't heard of it before, it's just a glossy glue. So you just got to be careful where you put it, because if it spills out, then you do get the glossiness on your page as well. And if you put that over the top, it can dry clear and hard and make it look all shiny and kind of like enamel, but not a fake enamel. So I stuck down the sweet first. I was feeling a little indecisive about where it should go and what my title should be. I just knew that I wanted to use the word sweet because I'm trying to use up some of my half packets of things. I've made a really big effort this year to use up my half packages. It's been tricky, and I think once you get to the point of there are things that aren't your style anymore, it's okay to destash them and pass them on to someone who would love to use them. And I think it's okay to let it go. I won't sing Frozen for you. I'll save you from that. But do a bit of, it sparked joy once, but it doesn't spark joy anymore, and pass it on and all of that good stuff. So I've got my title 2/3 of the way done. I needed some tiny alphas, and I'm using these ones from Flutterby Designs. They're one of my faves, just because you get so many letters, which is very, very handy. And I really like the size of them as well. I knew I wanted to do some journaling somewhere. I wasn't quite sure where. Every video actually that I show this little container, I will just say where I got that from because I get asked about it a lot. It's the Sistema brand. I just grabbed it from Woolworths, which is a supermarket here in Australia. And it's really handy because it is a top shelf compartment that sits in a larger container. So I originally packed it to go to a scrapbook retreat, and then never unpacked it again. And it's just been really handy to keep nearby so that I can whip it out and use it when I can. I'm also trying to use up enamel dots. I just faded away from enamel dots. If you've been watching my videos for 4 years or so, you know how much I used enamel dots on everything. And then I think I discovered wood veneer and little stickers, and the enamel dots got pushed to the side. And I'm really trying to pick them up again, and I've fallen in love a bit with them once again, which is, it's a nice thing to do when you loved a product or a particular technique, and you kind of forget about it and forget how much you enjoyed incorporating that into your projects. And it's nice to rediscover it. And it also makes it very handy when you've already got a stash of it in your scrapbook supplies. So it's like you've got a brand new thing, but really you haven't had to buy anything new. It's just dusting something off the shelf and giving it some new life. So while I've been yakking on about my love of enamel dots, I just stuck a few little bits. I wanted to bring out the yellow in that background paper, which isn't my usual go-to colour, but I had a few yellow bits and pieces around. I'm fighting with these wood veneer buttons because, not wood veneer, sorry, wooden buttons. I don't like the glue on them. The foam and I don't agree with each other, and yes, I don't like them at all. But I tried to keep a bit of a square this time. I usually go for a triangle of clusters, but this turned into a little bit of a square. And I felt like that black puffy sticker up the top needed something to go with it. So I was looking to see if there was a tiny word that I could use, something little that wasn't wood veneer that I could incorporate up there with it. And then I'm going to add some journaling in a moment too. I have finished my 2018 albums now, which is exciting, and I've been flipping through those over on Patreon. I am back in 12 by 12 for 2019, and I've been working on those slowly. Definitely not going to be caught up before Bub arrives, but at least I've started, and it can be an ongoing process, a project, I mean. Let me know, what size albums are you working in for 2020? 2020, doesn't that sound terrifying? Where did the years go? I don't know where they've gone, but it doesn't feel like we should be up to 2020 already. That sounds futuristic to me. It's not realistic yet. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be working in 12 by 12 again. I've done 9 by 12 for the last 3 years, and then this year's back to 12 by 12. Before that was 12 by 12 as well. And I asked on Instagram recently if people would like a bit of a video talking about what projects I want to focus on next year, what projects I'm going to not abandon, but just politely walk away from for a little while. Just let them sit on my shelf for a little bit, and what's going to be my priority for next year. So I will be filming a video which will either go up at the end of December or possibly the start of January, talking about my plans. But I'd love to hear what your plans are for next year. Have you started thinking about it? I'm only thinking forward because I'm just writing off the rest of this year for babiness, and I just would like to kind of forward think to January. My brain might not be as foggy, and I might start to be able to get a bit of a routine under my sleeve again and get back to crafting, because I don't know how much crafting I'll get done. Bit of a hearty shine. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your hearty shine. Shake your hearty shine. Shaking it real good. I'm almost at the end of this bottle, but I've got 2 extra bottles which a beautiful subscriber gave to me, so I'm very grateful for that. And then I know there's been lots of chat about in my Facebook group, which is Scrapaholics Anonymous, links always in the description. A lot of chat in the last year or so about replacement gold Hardy Shines, because it is discontinued now. Everything I fall in love with gets discontinued. The Sharpie white paint pen and the extra fine point, the Hardy Shine. Something else I used got discontinued as well. Might have been a pen that I used, the crown pen, the really fine one. It just not winning. But as I'm finishing off this video, I just want to pop on and say that as I've said in previous videos, I will be taking a 6-week hiatus from YouTube. I will still be up on Patreon, so Patreon peeps, I'll see you in 5 days anyway. I'll see you today, actually, I think. There's a video going up today. It's the 25th. And I will be having a bub at the end of next month, and I will be sure to pop back on. I think I've scheduled December 13th as my return. I'm hoping to do a baby layout in the first 2 weeks of her being home. We'll see how we go, and I will be back on December 13th. Thank you for all of your love and support through my pregnancy, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.